Thank you for joining, for those individuals that are joining online, and for everyone here. Today, we finally have Monica Gartner coming and talking to us about the Canadian Assistive Travel Society. Monica and I have been playing phone tag for the better part of a year, I think now, just because of scheduling, and I don't answer my phone all the time. And then you don't answer your phone either. A little bit of both. Monica and I have known each other for quite a while, and she's an amazing person. And one of the things that we've been trying to focus on a little bit is give people the information about traveling in general. You know, trying to make it easier for everyone, trying to take away some of the or remove some of the myths that people have around traveling with a disability, traveling with a wheelchair.
So my name's Monica. And I became interested in travel when I was very young. When my grandmother was in her late 70s, I would say, she went into a whirlwind vacation with her daughter, who was in her early 60s, I think, and late 50s, early 60s. And they went for 6 weeks all over the world.
That is a whirlwind.
That is a whirlwind, yeah. From Russia to Africa, to Asia to Europe, I mean, all over the place. And when I was a child, I was a bit of a captive audience because quite often I have a bone disease and my bones are fragile and break easily. And quite often I was lying on the family room couch recovering from yet another fractured arm or leg or had some surgery or what have you. And my grandmother would sit down and start telling me about her travels that she went to. And so I was captivated by all the different things that she was telling me. And I thought to myself, one day, I'm going to go there and see it for myself and even taste the different foods that she was telling me about. So years passed, and then I realized that in order to travel, one needs to accumulate something called money. And money is not really easy to come by. It leaves your hand very quickly, but it's so hard to grasp. So I decided that I would have to do something that would earn me some money. And
so that a job.
A job,
yeah.
Yeah, something called a job, which means you have to get up at the crack of dawn sometimes and go to work in different weather conditions, snow, sleet, rain. Ice is a little challenging. Recently I was going to work and we're going down the driveway and I didn't realize it was black ice, and all of a sudden my chair went sideways and I'm like, oh Jesus, help me now please. And I stopped. Thankfully there was
time.
Yeah, I did. There was a good Samaritan and she got out of her vehicle with high heel shoes on and she helped me down the driveway. But anyway, don't wear high heel shoes, ladies, when you're on ice. It's probably not a good idea. You know, everybody tells you in business, do what you love to do and love what you do. So I thought, okay, well, I love business. I love networking. I love interacting with people. And I really love traveling. Because years later, after I did accumulate some money, I was able to go on vacation. At first, it started off with my parents, and they were my primary travelers. And of course, parents, they take care of your every need. But then they got older and not able to take me. And then I managed to hook up with some of my friends. And they would take me on vacation. And we would collaborate together to find a place to go, and we would do that. And that's where the challenges starts, such as getting a vehicle. Do you rent a vehicle or do you take public transit? So you've got to do your research by actually researching the country and city where you want to go and what kind of public transit is available.
This research, there was this pre-internet days? Because it hasn't been around that long.
No, it was slightly pre-internet days. So I thought, okay, where do you find that information? So I went to Hosteling International. And I bought a book from Hosteling International, and believe it or not, there was places in Europe where you actually had a little wheelchair sign. So I would contact each one of them because I just didn't take their word for it. So I called every single country, every youth hostel to make sure it was what I needed to have. And thankfully, I believe all of them had at least one person that could speak a little bit of English. It may took a few minutes to get that person, and you had to be careful what time of day you call because of their time differences. But then I was able to book my entire, so it was in 1999, I went for 3 weeks without my parents to Germany, to Europe. And I did 7 countries in 3 weeks.
By yourself?
No, I took an attendant with me. And because I'm on the CFO program,
yes,
I hired this person to go with me. And I paid them the 12 for 24, or whatever I had to pay for them to go with me.
Right.
And I was very fortunate on that first journey because my uncle in Germany happens to have or had a son with a disability, so my father's brother. And he had a wheelchair-equipped van.
Oh, perfect.
And I was able to borrow that van for 3 weeks.
Wow, that's awesome.
And my uncle in Germany happens to be a little bit well-to-do. And he said, I'll also lend you, because I actually said, can I borrow your handy? Handy is cell phone in German. And I said, can I borrow your handy for 3 weeks, just in case?
Yes.
Because my assistant she said, I'll drive, and I can drive us around. Then my uncle said, well, actually, I'm going to lend you the handy with my chauffeur for 3 weeks. I said, okay, I'll sacrifice myself.
Oh, no, I can't do that.
I know, you know. But by the way, I'll be staying in youth hostels. Is that going to be okay with him? Because I have a feeling he doesn't go with youth hostels with you, traveling from country to country. You might want to check in on him. Because, you know, we're talking probably 5, 6-star hotels. So anyway, he called me back. He said, yep, everything's fine. Don't worry. Just come on over. So that's how we began our trip. And
that's a good start.
Yeah, that was a good start. But even so, I took my itinerary with me because, you know, when you have a chair, you really have to be organized. And it would be nice if you could do things on the spur of the moment and just go. But because of the chair and electricity and chargers converters, that's the other thing you have to think about, is converting your energy from 220 to 110 so you don't blow your battery out, because that would be a problem.
A little bit.
Yeah. So then what I would do is take my itinerary with a list of all the places I was going to be in, and we started off with number 1, youth hostel, and we came to a place and it had a staircase. And we went, oh, we have a problem. So the driver took my itinerary, went up the stairs, talked to the person, and sure enough, they did have an elevator. But like here in North America, you had to go halfway down the building, into the back, in the garage, up another entrance, because he had his doubts, the driver, of the whole situation. And then they said, oh, we just didn't understand that you were really in an electric wheelchair. Well, when you say electric wheelchair, that usually means electric wheelchair. But maybe things get lost in translation.
I was going to say that probably did.
And you have to have a lot of patience. And you know, when you are traveling, you have to understand, people are willing to help you. They just don't know what to do. And you have to tell them what to do. It's not that they're trying to be arrogant or snobby or unreasonable. They have no clue. Unless they know somebody with a disability, and they really don't know. So what they did is they took this itinerary, they thanked me for bringing it, and this woman in advance sent all the youth hostels the fax saying, just to remind you, she really is in an electric wheelchair. There's no way she can get upstairs.
Stairs don't work.
Don't work. So that is my first introduction of traveling without really any family support whatsoever. Well, except for the uncle situation, that really, there was a bit of support there. And then, so then when I came home a few years later, after I graduated from university, I thought, well, you know, I've had a lovely time with traveling, and I still do. And it sure would be nice if other people would be able to experience what I've been able to
Yes.
experience. And it really does open up your eyes to what the rest of the world is going through. And when you go to traveling to these other countries and you come back to Vancouver, you say, oh, actually, we're not doing too bad at all. We're actually quite good. And so that's really lovely to see that. And so it just so happened a group of us got together over lunch or dinner on the weekends and what have you, and started chatting. And I popped up and said, well, why don't we start a nonprofit organization? And this was just after the crash of 2007, 2008.
Perfect time to start.
Perfect time.
Yeah.
And even my friend said, okay, Monica, that's a little bit less. And I go, yes, I know right now is not a good time to build the walls of a building, let's just say. But it's an excellent time to build the foundation.
Lay that cornerstone.
To lay that cornerstone. And some people suggested, oh, why don't we hire a consultant for that? And I go, wait a minute. We're all intelligent human beings. We're all educated. Why don't we do the background work and do it ourselves so that this really is a grassroots organization? And so that's what we did. And it took several years to do. We each took a bit of the project. We did a business case. Then we did a feasibility study. And within the feasibility study, we did a market research survey and did all of that. And then we decided, okay, well, we have to launch. You got to launch. So you got to have the baby. It's been percolating more than 9 months. So that's what we did. And last year was our first fundraising event. And we went to Kelly's Irish Pub in Vancouver. And that's what we did. And we raised in one night a little over $2,000. And we haven't done anything to the money other than putting it into a bank, paid a few bills for the expenses of holding a fundraising event, which was really minimal, under $100. And now what we're doing is we're going to do it again next Friday on April the 4th. And what's different with this time is, well, first of all, we're going to have a magician there this time. That's going to be fun. We're going to have a young rapper who's going to sing, and we have a band. Jeff Stanfield and band is going to be playing again. But also what's different is I will also be giving a presentation there, and I will be presenting our new brochure and our application form. Because after the first fundraising event and now this one coming up, we're hoping to have some money get together so that we can, let people apply. And then it may not be for everything this time around, but our objective for the Canadian Assisted Travel Society is to be able to give funds so that a person with a disability can take an attendant and pay for the expenses, such as transportation, accommodation, and a meal stipend. So that's how that's planning on working. And so it's not to pay for the expenses of a person with a disability.
Yes.
Because whether you have a disability or not, you have to raise your own capital, your own money, to go on vacation, just like everybody else on the planet. And then, but for a person with a disability, you have added things that you have to consider when traveling. For your, whether it's electric wheelchair, manual wheelchair, crutches, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So this is intended for people with disabilities that really do require somebody to accompany them when they are traveling. So that's what we're planning on doing.
So one of the things that I'm hoping comes out of today's session is that there's a little bit more awareness about the cane or cats. I'm just going to call it cats. Because it's in its infancy stage right now, really, and all the support that anyone can lend to you will actually benefit others, directly.
Absolutely.
And it's okay. You can promote your fundraiser as much as possible during this chat too, so you're okay.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
I'm cool with that.
All right, that's cool.
And so I'm not sure if you who are online today, or those of you that are watching this later, have heard about it and want to make a contribution or want to help, or want to volunteer, because I know that, are you going to talk a little bit about that also a little later?
Yeah, sure. And what?
Ways that they can help different ways.
Oh, different ways we can help. Yeah, we're always looking to promote. You know, right now we've only had like 2 major fundraising events, but we would like to have more smaller fundraising events and get more of the community involved. Whatever you can do. Like, I'm just going to give you a bizarre example, but I was approached by one woman from Tupperware, and she said, you know, when people have a Tupperware party, if they want to raise money for a specific organization, they can do so, and 40% of the proceeds can go to the nonprofit organization. So that's another way you can do it. So there's some MLM, multi-level marketing companies, that are willing to do those sorts of things. And I'm sure there's other ways that we can have garage sales and so whatnot. What I'm looking to do, we have 3 people on the board right now. We are potentially going to be adding 1 more person who's taking over for somebody else who decided to step down. So after this event, we will be having an AGM to vote this person on. And you're most welcome to come to that. I will send out an email note saying when that's going to be. And then after that, I would like to get an event coordinator position going so that they could come on board, and then that person would recruit people for volunteers to do different events.
But that is also a volunteer position.
But that would also be a volunteer position. All the people on the board are volunteers. None of us are being paid a dime. They range from myself. I work full-time with the federal government at the moment. And I have an accountant that's on board. I have a musician/advocate on board. And the rapper may be coming on board, will be coming on board as well. So we all come from all different walks of life. It's great. So that's good. So that's one way we can do that.
Do you want to go back to the first slide?
Yeah, so our mission here is, what I thought of is, well, about traveling. You know, you'd like to go, doesn't matter where your dream would like to take you. There's different reasons why people go away out of their hometown. It could be for education. It could, like an educational seminar. It could be like a short course. It could be a conference, maybe learning of something about the disability you have or some sort of interest you have.
Right.
Or it could be some sort of dream, per se. People living with different types of disabilities, whether it be chronic or maybe life-threatening illness. And so we would like to be able to make those funds available. And so that's why we thought it would be great to be able to pay for the cost, if not all the costs this time around, at least part of the cost, so that it would make it easier.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Going back to your first point, do you mind if I...
Yeah.
Jack, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
What I was wondering is, when you talk about having a companion, do you get the companions from a particular organization, or do you just recruit wherever you have to be, or what?
Okay, so we actually don't get the companions for the individuals. That's the responsibility of the person.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm talking about the person
with the disability.
with the disability. Where do they get their companions from?
Well, quite often, a person that requires that much assistance most likely already has attendants that assist them with their daily living. So they may feel more comfortable with asking one of their attendants or maybe even a friend.
Right.
It doesn't have to be an attendant.
Yes.
We're not saying that this person has to be a nurse or something like that. And it's not just an attendant on 2 legs. It could be a certified animal as well. So, you know,
that's interesting.
Yeah, because we thought, you know, some people require an assisted animal, usually it's a dog. And there are costs associated with traveling with a dog as well. So we're taking that into consideration as well.
There's a point there about Air Canada and attendant attendant care, traveling. Good point. That's one of the new laws that came into effect about almost 2 years ago now.
Yes.
What is
Right.
that?
And that attendant care, someone who's an attendant, can travel free within Canada only. But before that can happen, the individual needs to apply. So if Monica was going, say, to Toronto, she would have to go onto the Air Canada website, download the form, fill in the information, submit the form, get the qualification first for that person, for the attendant to fly at the free rate. Once that information is in for Monica to Air Canada, it's generally in there, so you don't have to go through the whole litter again. But that only applies within Canada itself, and it's only for Air Canada.
I think she said it's both.
It's only Canada.
It's only Canada. It's not
only
international.
Canada.
It's only
not
Canada.
international.
I think
Both
VIA
airlines.
also has.
Both airlines, Air Canada and WestJet. That could be. I think it's all Canadian airlines.
I don't know. We can definitely look into that.
We can look into that. But the only downside to that is you have to get your doctor to sign off on that. And the problem is it's really important to have a good relationship with your doctor because they can charge you each and every time
Charge for every form.
for every little piece of paper they sign. So that's unfortunate, but that is an added expense.
Depending on the doctor.
Depending on the doctor, exactly. I mean, if you have a really good relationship with your doctor and they've got a little heart going on, then maybe you're okay with it.
Because all they have to do is sign it.
Well, all they have to do is sign it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Also, VIA does the same thing.
Who?
VIA,
Via?
the railway.
Oh, Via Rail. Okay, that's good to know.
So there's Joe there said that he thinks it's all the airlines within Canada, so that's good.
I believe so as
okay.
well. Yeah.
Good
But one of our mandates in CATS is to try to liaison with other travel industry areas, and we would like to be able to, at some point, write letters and talk to other people in the travel industry
Right.
to get that to happen, not just in Canada,
Yes.
but internationally as well. But at the moment, we're not there yet.
So we talked a little bit about the traveling and a little bit of history of how Canadian Assisted Travel Society came along. We talked a little bit about the mission.
Services.
We talked a little bit about the fund. So let's see. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, exactly. So to liaison with the travel industry, and not just the airlines. We're also talking about hotels as well, because just because a hotel says they have a wheelchair accessible suite does not mean they have a wheelchair accessible suite.
Accessible means different things to different people.
Exactly.
It's a very elastic term, that word.
Yeah.
Elastic, I like that. Elastic. It's an elastic term.
It is.
I like that.
Yeah.
Can I borrow that?
You can have it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So partnering with relevant organizations and having a significant social networking presence is sort of, I know we kind of deviated a little bit, but that's the last point on this.
Yes. So, yes, social networking. You know, my objective also is to do some sort of meetup group and have different people come in and talk about, you know, their experiences. And, you know, we can even go further than that. We can, you know, brainstorm and see, okay, what areas need to be fixed? Who can we write to? Let's rally together because we all have the same goal in mind.
Yes.
We all want to get out there and do things, but it just doesn't take one organization here or there. It takes a collective. You know, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes all of us collectively to make this world more accessible for ourselves and for the future.
Great point. What do we got next? So this is sort of a question I had before about how, you know, how people can help.
How people can help. So one of the things is this position looks like it may be very soon filled or is going to be filled. But we can always help with communication skills. As I was mentioning, we need people to go out and get silent auction items. We need people to help with promoting our events. And need be sometimes selling. Personable selling, when you're first starting anything, whether it be a nonprofit or your own business, making that relationship and connecting with people is very, very important. And that's how you're going to get the people to come in. Yes, you could do it the easy way and go online and sell tickets by credit card and internet, but keep in mind there's a cost to doing credit card.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, there's a cost. I can't remember what the percentage is, but the credit card companies take a cost of that. And you don't get the personal selling touch. And when people go to their friends and neighbors and family members and even people on the street and talk about it, you have a natural passion for what you're talking about. And you're much more believable than any screen on a computer could ever be.
Right.
Because we're social beings. So, yeah, so I'm always looking into having more volunteers and to create more and to do more.
Volunteering, general volunteering.
General volunteering, yes. And like I said, we need to do more social media.
Okay.
So Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like to. Right now, everything's on my own personal Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'd like to separate that out and have cats have their own Facebook, a Twitter account, most likely a Pinster account at some point, and it would all tie in to our website account.
Right.
Once we grant somebody, I say release the funds, but once we do grant some finances out, one of the stipulations is going to be a testimonial to let us know how it all went, the process of the application, as well as your trip for whatever reason, whether it be education,
yep.
Or whatever the case may be.
Anything else you want to add?
Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
So, maybe while people are thinking, as I mentioned earlier on, the Cat Society is fairly new. It's there's a definite need out there for this sort of assistance for people because it's a burden when, especially with the cost of traveling. Not only having to pay for yourself, but having to pay for an assistant also.
Yeah.
So this is it's definitely a worthwhile cause. And if there's any way that anyone here or online or later on can think of or wants to help, financially or with some support or with some volunteering or ideas, whatever it may be.
Whatever it might be, I'm open to any suggestions. Mm-hmm. But as far as cost is concerned, when I first started working and I wanted to go on a cruise, yes, cruise can cost a few $1,000s. But let me explain to you what I did. I calculated the cost of a cup of coffee.
Oh, you did that? Oh, yeah.
And
people or you?
No, for myself, I just thought in terms. Because someone at work even asked me, how can you afford to go on a cruise on your salary? And I'm like, oh, brother. Well, I said, here's the thing. You buy every day a cup of coffee, not just any coffee, but...
A fancy coffee, that's $5.
Yeah, $4 or $5 cup of coffee. Plus, at lunch, you go and buy yourself lunch.
Yep.
Now, you multiply that by 5 days, and you multiply that about by 20 days in the month, and you multiply that by 12 months of the year. If you add that all up, you're looking at about a couple $1,000s. And you know what? I'm sure the coffee company is really happy because you're keeping somebody employed. And that's how our money goes around. But if you really want to go on a cruise, or if you really want to go to Mardi Gras, or whatever the case may be, then you need to ask yourself the cost benefit and what is your want and what is your need. And you need to make a plan, a financial plan as to what you want to do.
No, definitely. And things like cruises right now, they're, really within most people's grasp, really, when it comes to the actual cost of them, compared to, say, 10 years ago. I mean, it's a lot more affordable.
And you can also bargain, too.
You can. You have the options. And now with internet, you have the options of shopping, right?
You do.
So it's not, you're not forced to buy through one company. You can go to multiple ones and see what's available and pre-planning and booking ahead, all those sort of things. You can come up with the cheapest option.
Yeah, but I would say with traveling on a cruise line, we still need to educate the cruise lines as well. Far too often they will sell the wheelchair accessible sweet to somebody that doesn't need it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what's really important if you decide to go on a cruise is be really frank with them that you need to know if their excursions are wheelchair accessible. And they say to you, oh, well, book the trip, and then we can find out. And then you say to them, no,
Yep.
you tell me before I book the trip. Because what's the point of me booking the trip? Because as soon as you say more than 50% or 60%, whatever the case may be, whatever you're comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not comfortable with just 50% being accessible. I want to be 90% accessible. Because I pay out a lot of money
Yes.
to do that. So if most of the excursions are accessible, okay, fine. If one or two are not, then I can live with that on a 10-day cruise. But if they're not, then I'm not going to go on that cruise. And shop around to different cruise lines as well, not just necessarily one. So that's another area that I need to cruise. Oh, what was that?
Oh, besides my horrible typing, Matthew says we're cruising with Celebrity next month, and they'll let us know. So thank you for those that are online, and thanks, Monica.
You're welcome. Thank you.